A few years after he returned to Iceland, he fell head over heels in love with a girl from Reykjavik. Her name was Ragnhildur, and she came from one of the country's most prominent families. They wed in 1889, when Hannes was 28 and his bride only 18. They lived first on Þingholtsstræti, and then, from 1993 to 6, on Amtmannsstígur 1, where there is now a restaurant. He loved Ragnhildur profoundly for the rest of her life. In the same year that Hannes married Ragnhildur, he was appointed to his first tenured position as secretary to the state governor, the highest official in Iceland. In 1896 he was appointed district magistrate in Ísafjörður, the main town in the Westfjords, a position he held for the following 10 years. He continued to compose poetry for official occasions, and his best-known verse from his years in the Westfjords is the Iceland poem, composed in celebration of the turn of the century in 1901. He was establishing a reputation for himself as a politician, and the poem was a rallying cry to the Icelandic poor. The time will arrive, the land becomes sound, heath turn to field, people abound. Mother Earth made fertile, her young revive, culture spreading as new woodlands thrive. Like the ancient boats that brought us here, like the force that surges through all we hold dear, I see machines toiling, workers proud to have made a nation free to rule, free to trade. In 1901, parliamentarianism was taken up in Denmark, and the largest political party, the Venstre Reform Party, previously without any official representation, was asked to form a government. It was partly made up of the old Brandes party of which Hannes Hafstein had been a member. One of the first things that the Venstre Reform Party did was agree to granting Iceland home rule. As a result of his connections with some of the leaders of Venstre and the circumstances of Icelandic politics, Hafstein was appointed as First Minister for Iceland when Home Rule became effective in 1904. He got to work straight away and accomplished a large number of important tasks, such as connecting Iceland to the outside world via telephone and substantially improving domestic communications and transport. One of the most impressive buildings that he helped to erect was the National Library, now the Centre for Cultural Heritage. Hannes did not forget the idealism of his student days and managed to improve human rights in a number of areas, such as the establishment of a secret ballot, compulsory education, and women's rights and suffrage. He spared no expense on himself and soon had a magnificent house built beside the Reykjavik town lake, now known as Ráðherrabústaðurinn, or the Minister's House. In 1906, all the Icelandic MPs were invited to Copenhagen, with Hannes at their forefront, and he drew great admiration from all quarters for his charismatic leadership. Hannes formed a close friendship with Frederick VIII of Denmark when the latter came to Iceland on a state visit in 1907. Here it's the people of Akureyri who greet their monarch with a round of cheers. Many felt that when Hannes and Frederick rode side by side, that they seemed more equals than monarch and subject, a view that greatly enhanced Icelanders' self-image. At the same time, the economic boom that took place in the early years of Home Rule fired the movement for a complete split with Denmark, and the demands for full independence from their colonial lords grew louder and louder. The most radical of these attacked Hannes himself, who was thought to be too much under the influence of the ruling elite and far too attached to the Danes. Indeed, it was this that led to his downfall in the 1908 election, when Hannes's party, the Home Rule Party, suffered heavy defeats.